Welcome to the Reseller Show with your hosts, Andy Lawrence and Kevin Blackburn.
How's it going, guys? And welcome to another Reseller Show. My name's Andy Lawrence.
And my name's Kev Blackburn.
And welcome to episode 5, Kev? Are we up to
5 now? Session 5. Wow.
Well, it's good to have you with us. Thank you for joining us. And we've got, as usual, an action-packed show for you today. How's things for you, Kev? You had a good week?
I've had a very good week, thank you, Andy. And I'm really looking forward to this show. We've got a jam-packed show. We're going to be talking, first of all, some news. There's some really good news, a news story that we're going to share this evening, a very inspirational news story. Then we've got some amazing questions from the community, the reseller community, and we have a number of live viewers as well. So, hi guys, it's great to see you all this evening, and yeah, I'm excited, Andy.
Alrighty, plenty to get cracking on this evening, which is always good. So, as usual, let's start the top of the show with some news, shall we?
Yeah, let's start off the top with some news. So I was actually going onto Facebook when I come across a really, really amazing story. And this is actually from the Manchester Evening News. And the headline, it was basically published earlier on today. The headline says, "The mum who scraped together £100 to open a Facebook fashion shop and now runs a £4 million, that's £1 million business." What an incredible story that is. It goes on to this article, which I'll share in the show notes, goes on to say that basically this lady, 34 years old, Beth, she was desperate for cash. She had some hard times with a boyfriend, council housing, etc. And she started selling on Facebook. And roll on a load of action later. She now employs a team of 10 people, and she's set to turn over £4 million this year, which is incredible. What an amazing story that is, Andy.
Yeah, it's so great, so inspiring to hear stories like that, isn't it, Kev? When someone starts with very little, they're right down at rock bottom, and they manage to turn it around into something like that. It's heartwarming, isn't it? It's a heartwarming tale.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's amazing, and it actually does show that absolutely anybody from any walks of life can really make themselves a success story. I mean, it goes on this article, which I will share in the link so you can read it. It does say that she was maybe, she was struggling, she was scraping together some money, and all she wanted to do was just make an extra £100 a week, and she ended up sort of scaling this to the point now where she has her own premises, a team around her. What an amazing! She's got a young family from the looks of it. What an amazing story! What an inspirational story for those all around her as well.
Absolutely. It's always great to see a feel good story like that in the news. It's nice to hear. I'd certainly be interested to hear how she did that, and whether it was the Facebook marketplace or whether she's used Facebook ads. Maybe we should try and get in touch and get her on the Reseller Show and quiz her a bit more.
Yeah, maybe we should have. I think after this news article, I think she'll have a lot of people trying to get in contact with her to ask her some questions for sure. But I mean, I think the bottom line to that is, we talk a lot of eBay and we talk a lot of Amazon on this show, and we have touched on Facebook as well. But I just think we're just living through an incredible time, like Absolutely. Just an amazing time. Even if you're not on Amazon, even if you're not on eBay, and you're just starting on Facebook, it's just amazing on the potential nowadays.
Yeah, it is. It just goes to show that there's just so many opportunities, and we just scratched the surface, to be honest with you. It's to do with Spotify. I always say Spotify when I mean Shopify. They're too close, those two words. Shopify accounts with Amazon. There's some people really smashing it with the e-commerce websites, and the Amazon merch is always an interesting one to keep an eye on. And there's so many little niches that can really fly. So yeah, I'm sure we'll go into detail about some of those individual niches as we go along through the different different sessions. But yeah, that's it was a truly inspirational news item. And talking about inspirational people, I really appreciate the video you put out this week, Kev, for yourself with your backstory about your history and on the Live Success Engineer channel. So if you haven't watched that, look it up on YouTube. I must admit it was very inspiring, and really, I want to thank you for putting that out there, because that takes a lot of guts to put that out. It's a hard story to tell, I'm sure, and I'm sure you've helped a lot of people by sharing that with people. So on behalf of all of us, thank you for putting that out there. It was a special story.
I really do appreciate that. Yeah, it was a bit of an up down week for me this week. It was my 30th party last weekend, which was amazing. Really, really had a good time. And then I had to see my mother leave, which brought home some. And I thought to myself, you know what? I need to share this story because, life happens to us. Life happens in many forms to us. And, it doesn't really matter what happens. It's all about how you decide to move forward. So I really do appreciate that, Andy. Thank you.
No worries. And I gotta say, check out Kev's YouTube channel. There's some excellent information on there to watch. Not just that inspiring and very heart moving story from Kev as well. And it takes a lot of courage, and I appreciate that. But that should probably get a golden nugget of its own, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I love that. I love that. But I mean, one of the things that it might lead us into is the fact that we are in Q4 now. And, when I first came across this idea of what we can sell on Amazon and what is the limit to what the potential is, it really sort of opened my eyes to, like, one, you don't need a lot to change your life. Like, it's so close to us now. The opportunity is literally, you can be in your own living room. You can be in your bathroom, and you can make money online nowadays, which is it's crazy to me. And the fact that we're in Q4 now, I know there's a few rumblings in the Facebook groups now that I think we are picking up for Q4. And I have no doubt in my mind, with the amazing community that we have, the reseller community, your community with Wholesale Help, and my community, I'm convinced that there's going to be so many people that are going to have incredible success stories at the end of this Q4. We're going to have record days, record weeks, record months. And, there might even be some people within our community that ends up quitting jobs and making some significant moves in their life. So, it's amazing. Have you seen an increase in Q4 these last few days, Andy, or?
Yeah, I would say, to be honest with you, where are we now? Just getting into sort of the first part of November. I've seen an influx probably from the beginning of November, slight rise on a few different lines. And yeah, it's like a gradual curve. It's been slowly going up in November, to be honest with you, the more organized people getting stuck into some presence. I must admit, I had a very satisfying few sales in the last couple of days. Last weekend, I think I was in town with my wife and doing some run-of-the-mill things, and had to stop off at the opticians to sort out some glasses for the wife. And, I'm very impatient. I can't stand around for too long, especially in warm places like shops. And I said, you know what? She's going to be there for about 20 minutes. I'll just pop out. I'll just see, give me a call when you're done. I'll just be across the road. And of course, there's a charity shop across the road. And if I've got to hang around, I may as well try and make some money while I'm hanging around. So I literally dash across the road, stick my head in the charity shop, have a sort of beeline for the book section. And there was three cookbooks there, very nice quality Nigella cookbooks and Gordon Ramsay, and they're sat there looking at me for something like £1.50 each. And I thought, you know what? It's even Christmas themed as well, Christmas themed cookbooks. And I thought, yeah, no, I'm having some of that. Quick scan, and they're going for something like $14.95 and $19.95 on Amazon. So just without any other tools apart from my phone, just check them. They're doing well. So I bag three cookbooks whilst I'm in there. So I probably come out about £30 richer after the sort of 15 minutes I was in the charity shop. And just I was replenishing actually some stock that was going up to Amazon anyway. So I thought, let me just scan those in. And luckily they were going to the same fulfillment center. So they got chucked in the box as well, which is always handy. And off they went. And 2 out of the 3 have already sold this week as well. So it's just nice when you see that in your order feed occasionally. You think, wow, it's such a great turnaround. You know, anyone can do that. If you're in town and you just stick your head in a charity shop, immediately that little bit of knowledge turned into money straight away. And it's just a satisfying little thing, you know. It's so nice to be able to do that and have the profit margin of £1.50 to £20 is as good as it gets, do you think?
That's amazing. That's amazing. And this is the time where we really do reap some rewards. Over the last few days, I've definitely seen an increase. Over the last 2 days, especially, I've seen a bit of a step increase, which was really nice to see. I think my sales were up something like 15% from last week alone, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's a big increase.
So I'm excited what's going to happen. The every single year Amazon get bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's just amazing. This is what we're all about. This is the time of year where it's so exciting for everybody. It's crazy. We're all overworked. We're all just doing everything we can every single day, but it's so much fun.
It is. It's exciting. And that's what I love about the opportunities. Anyone can get involved. If you understand the principles, anyone can make money and anyone can get involved. And that's what I love, the simplicity of it, right from just literally walking into a charity shop and coming out with profit and being able to identify that immediately, all the way up to scaling up to wholesale and large sort of pallet orders for wholesale and beyond. It's, the opportunities are just boundless, and it's great to see people getting involved and filling their boots at this time of year. It is a time for plenty for all of us. So it's great. Yeah. It's really good.
And that probably leads us in nicely to the first question that was sent in from John Paul, actually, and he basically asks for those that are all been through Q4 before. This is his first Q4, which is super exciting. Do you continue sending in your products in December? And what is sort of the last day for sending in? So just about the shipping period around December, Christmas time, New Year. Be great, obviously, for somebody that's not come across the end of, I guess, the build up to Christmas. When should they stop sending in, Andy?
Well, I mean, it's a good question. You can send it, you can ship in as long as you like. I think the last day is just like a day or so before. I can't remember off the top of my head the exact day, but you can send all the way through December, as long as you understand that the process will slow down as the burden goes up over December. More and more people are trying to get more and more stuff in. So the processing time for Amazon will slow down considerably. So the key factor, remember, is if you've got to get stuff in there, if you're still shipping, just get there as early as you possible. Get as much stuff in sooner rather than later, because it might take a while. It could be, depending on which fulfillment center. Some are quick, some are slow, some are even slower than that. So get your stuff in as soon as you can is the key to remember. But if you've got stuff in there already and you want to send more stuff, just keep sending it. I would just keep sending it all the way in to until just before Christmas, maybe day before Christmas Eve, or just before that. If it doesn't reach it, it will get processed the other side of Christmas anyway. So it probably doesn't really stop for me until I tend to stock up sooner rather than later. The bulk of what I want to sell this year is already in for me. I like to try and get ahead of myself. But if you've got a slightly faster turnover and you want to send more stuff in, just keep doing it. I'm at the sort of replenishment point now where I'm just keeping as much stuff stocked up as possible. And if I want to stock something up at this time of year, I'm restocking maybe 2 weeks ahead of when I would normally be restocking, just to keep that buffer, because sometimes something out of the blue can just really surge, and I don't want that to run dry if I get a fast surge of stock coming quickly. So I tend to be a little bit ahead of myself, but that's in terms of wholesale replenishment. But if you're just on online arbitrage or something, key is just get it up there. More the merrier. What do you think, Kev?
Yeah. So we was actually discussing this in the warehouse today because we run a prep service as well. So in terms of the time, we spoke to UPS today, and my understanding is UPS actually run all the way up to Christmas Eve, I believe, which is I'm just looking at the calendar here as I speak. The 24th is the Monday, and I believe that they actually open back up the day after Boxing Day. So from a UPS point of view, they don't really stop. They stop obviously for Christmas Day and Boxing Day. So you could you could be shipping all the way to all the way up until Christmas Eve and then the days after Boxing Day in between the Christmas period and the New Year period. That's not what I do. Our last day will most likely be, it's not confirmed yet, but it will most likely be the 21st, which is the Friday. And in terms of the purchasing, then we don't purchase up until that point because that obviously doesn't make sense. There's no point in purchasing anything on the 21st because it's not going to get sort of delivered until later on past Boxing Day, I'd imagine. So we'll usually stop purchasing anywhere around the 10th to sort of the 12th, depending on the delivery times, whether you get next day delivery, whether you get delivery slots or whatever your case may be. Just work that out, and then that's always a really, really good time as well when you do stop purchasing, because all of a sudden that output is no longer there, and all you're doing is reaping your rewards of all your sales, which is always a very, very exciting time. So in terms of going into the Q4 period for the first time, just be aware, obviously, like Andy said, that things do slow down at Amazon. There is a considerable cliff, as they call it, which is around about there's a time period between sort of the 21st to maybe the 23rd time where you'll see just a huge drop in sales, because I'm looking at the calendar here, probably the 22nd of December, which is the Saturday. That's where the last minute buyers, the people that maybe like myself, that last minute, you can't no longer go online for the majority of places. Maybe Amazon, you could still maybe potentially get it delivered Christmas Eve, but a lot of people, over maybe 60 to 75% of people, they'll just go hit the shops then, because that's where they can get it there and then. So you'll see this cliff. So be aware of that. Obviously, you don't want to be stuck with a load of stock just because it's selling maybe tens or if not hundreds of units every single month in December. It doesn't, and it will not do the same in January, obviously, because it's Q1. So just be aware of that. Obviously, it all depends on what type of business model you've got. Like Andy, Wholesale, he's maybe more replenishing right now. Online arbitrage, because you're always replenishing and you're always buying more stock, you're going to have sales. The sales are going to be all the way up until probably Christmas Eve. Just be aware of that. You're going to have to find the time to ship, and depending on what you want to have days off as well. We tend to have at least sort of that week and a half off from Christmas until the New Year.
That's good. That sounds like you got it all planned out, Kev. That's always good to see. We've had a few people just catching up with some points in the comments here. Paul's also on his first Q4 as well, and he said he's had his best few days last week since he started, which is excellent. It dropped off again towards the weekend. Depending on your stock levels, it can fluctuate quite a bit. The more you have in stock, Paul, the less the ups and downs will be as dramatic, but you're always going to get fluctuations wherever it is. Just coincidentally, it can be like that. If you don't have a particularly large stock holding, you'll see that more. Paul says it's our first Q4 as well. What is the January period like for sales? As I've seen a few posts that say the sales carry on in January due to people getting vouchers, but is this mainly related to Amazon US? Is it the same in the UK? Yeah, I find depending on what you're selling, as usual, if you're selling toys, you probably see a drop off compared to pre-Christmas. There'll definitely be a drop off for sure. There'll be a quiet period. You'll always get people that are grabbing presents for people that they're going to see after Christmas or something, or they've forgotten about. So you will see sales. Sometimes people have birthdays, the first week of January. So you will see sales, but compared to the massive onslaught of sales in Q4 potentially for you, then there will be a slowdown if you are dealing with toys. If you're in a different category for different reasons, there's different things going on. But yeah, compared to Q4, January was generally the first part anyway will be a quieter period. Do you generally see that, Kev, with your own sales?
Yeah, I mean, Q1 is obviously the slowest time of the year, but that's not to say that your sales are not there. I think as a business, you want to be selling all the time. So as soon as we stop shipping, there's most likely about 2 weeks to 3 weeks period of no purchasing, which means that once we usually start purchasing again around about towards New Year's Eve period, just to sort of time that well. So when you start purchasing again, you're going to get your deliveries for the sort of the first day back when everybody's back at work. You don't want to just get back to work and then start purchasing, because then you've got that week lag again.
Sure.
So we push on through. There is a drop off, but I do find that Q1 or January is a fantastic time to diversify the different categories that you may be selling in. So let's say you're only selling toys. Well, you can diversify out into, if you're ungated. If you're not, then you work to get yourself ungated, to the likes of groceries or the likes of health and personal care, or just to diversify all that. Because I mean, I think because Amazon's growing so much, like Q4 this year will be bigger than last year. I also think Q1 will be bigger next year than it was this year. So there's always opportunity there that you'll still make sales and you'll still ride out that period. But yeah, it's obviously lower, but it's an opportunity to grow your business, and that's one of the things that I always say about Q1, because you then diversify out into, let's say you're only one category right now, and then because it's so slow in Q1, you diversify out into 2, 3, 4, or 5 categories. By the time you then get to Q4 in 2019, you're now playing with 5 categories instead of 1. That's why you have this, year on year, your sales are getting bigger and bigger, because you're working from on top of the year before. So, I guess that's I love Q1, just to expand on the business for the following year.
Yeah, it is a good opportunity to reflect on what's gone on and plan for the future and look at reassess your goals and certainly plan to do that. But the idea of actually working on your business and maybe expanding your category reach and looking for different items is a great opportunity. Good time to make use of, maybe if you've got a little bit more time at that time of year. Maybe if you're an arbitrage seller, maybe there's not as many deals available for you, and maybe make use of that time to plan your business and look at finding more categories. As Kev says, if you're not ungated, then take that time to get ungated and then go against some more items. That's an excellent tip. In fact, that you could say is a golden nugget.
I feel like I need one of them. I really feel like I might have to get my phone out and just get a nice little ding on there as well.
Yeah. It's even got a smiley face. It's got a smiley face. Gotta love it. Carry on, Ken.
But Jonathan, he actually says there in the comments, to help me scale, do I buy more sourcing sheets for different categories, or can FBA Wizard or Tactical Arbitrage do a good job for Q1? We're talking about this diversification. So what's your thoughts on there?
Oh, I missed that. Sorry, John. Yeah, I missed that comment. Scrolled down before I got to it. To help me scale, do I buy more sourcing sheets for different categories, or can FBA Wizard Technologies do this good job? Yeah, I mean, no. So if you're looking to scale, you're looking to find more items. Yeah, I mean, it depends where your bottleneck is, to be honest with you, John. Yeah, you obviously need to make sure you've got enough money to buy. If you're using FBA Wizard, I found plenty. There's so many different places you can scan, so many different ways you can use it. That's FBA Wizard is the one I use. I don't use tactical arbitrage, so can't comment on that one. But yeah, it depends on your bottleneck, to be honest with you. Sourcing sheets, if you're using those, are you maximizing those sourcing sheets? Are you getting everything out of them? Are you making all the purchases that are offered up? If you're using sourcing sheets and FBA Wizard, you should have plenty, to be honest with you. There's so many deals to find on FBA Wizard. Again, definitely different categories will give you, then open up more opportunities in FBA Wizard, to be honest with you. So yeah, that's a good example, actually. If you've reached the point, but have you truly reached the point where you're struggling to find stock? That's what I would ask yourself. What is the bottleneck? What is it that's stopping you finding deals? If you think you found all the toys, I don't know whether you found all the toys. There's lots. You've really got to set that FBA Wizard working in all the categories with all the stores, so many different stores, so many different categories. I would just go back and have a look at what your sort of sourcing routine is and what deals you're finding, and then just make sure you're maximizing your time in terms of actually identifying what is a good purchase decision, and scaling it that way. Maybe if is it your time, maybe you want to look at virtual assistants to help you. It's just about identifying your bottleneck, to be honest with you, because there's plenty of deals out there. I think you'll run out of time before you'll run out of deals. So yeah, not 100% sure on where the bottleneck is, John, unless you want to expand on that. But what are your thoughts, Kev, on that question?
Yeah, great question, Jonathan. And this is I love this topic. I love this question, because this is where over the last 3 years, I've really, because of the quiet time around Christmas, it allows you to stop, reflect. How can you grow your business? How can you diversify? How can you get to that next level for the next year? So during the quiet period, there's a number of things that's happening, and I'm going to go on to the sourcing sheets in just in a couple of seconds here. One, you are running out of stock on everything because you're not replenishing, because you're just selling out of everything because I'm not sending anything in. That means that you've got a great opportunity. You've got some down period. So what I did the first year or the second year I started selling was I actually have my senior assistants come in for 3 days over the Christmas period where we're all stopped. We're not doing anything. We're not shipping or anything, but they're here for a very, very important reason. We do a major replenishment across everything. Because we track everything we've purchased from January all the way to December. We have all our purchases we've made across the entire year. Amazon Seller Central has all the reports that you can see everything that you've sold or listed in your Seller Central. For 3 days, we'll do a major replenishment. I'll have my senior team look at what we purchased last year, and we'll go through absolutely everything. You'll be amazed on how many products you'll find that are maybe replenishable now, but you was maybe selling them last March, because of just the way the seasons go and the sales go from all your stores. So that brings us into January with a major influx of purchasing, because we've had like 3 days of going through everything. We call it our major replenishing system. We do that every 3 months, by the way. Every 3 months, we'll go through the last 3 months worth of purchasing, just in Christmas period, because it's a downtime. I'll get them to go through absolutely everything with a fine tooth comb. So there's that. Then in terms of going into the new year in the Q1, you've just coming out of Q4, which means that you should have hopefully you've reaped the reward. You've got options now. You've made some money. You've now got all that cash back. So the chances are that cash isn't a bottleneck at that moment in time, because you've just made a load of money, which means then you can then be strategic on what you do. So there's a number of things that you can do. You can either, like I say, you can go into sourcing sheets. I think sourcing sheets, for me, I recommend that to anybody, because sourcing sheets is like back in the day when I first started back in 2015, I wish I knew of sourcing sheets, because I would have invested straight away, because I just think it's such a, you can pay a low barrier entry and you get an influx of products straight away, I think that's incredible. So, with the capital, what I would do is just, I like to do things on whiteboards. Get a whiteboard and just go, right, I've got this amount of money now. What do I invest in? Do I go into 3 more sourcing sheets or 2 more or whatever the expense or whatever you want to do? Do I, like Andy says, do I invest into a sourcing assistant that works for you, whether that sourcing assistant is now working on FBA Wizard or tactical arbitrage, whatever the case is? It's really a great time to use the capital that you've now got to really to really set some seeds for the next year. Because by the time you get to the following Q4, that's going to reap dividends. It's going to reap massively. If you sign up to FBA Wizard, for example, in January, by the time you get to May, June, July, August, going into Q4, you're going to be a pro at it. And if you've got a VA that you've brought on board and they've started using FBA Wizard, by the time you've got 6 months worth of time back and forth working with that assistant, by the time you get to Q3, Q4, they're going to be on fire with FBA Wizard. So that's why I always say Q1 is the best time of the year, because that's where what you do in Q1 really affects what the result of Q4 will be. So I think that's pretty much my take on it. I hope that's a good enough answer there for you.
It's an excellent answer. I just want to draw everyone's attention back to what Kev said earlier there. In Q1, he goes over everything that he sourced over the entire 12 months. Is that what you said? You go back over all the items that you've found, all the profitable items that you've found over the last 12 months, and re-investigates those for what's going on right now. That is incredibly powerful. That just there. Goes over the whole lot, because you buy something, you sell it, you move on to the next thing, you buy it, you scan it, you sell it, and move on. But it doesn't mean everyone else has moved on as well. So actually going back over that stuff, do you know what the hit rate is on that percentage wise, roughly, Kev, off the top of your head?
I don't have the percentage for you, Andy, but this is why every bit of information that you gather in your business, don't ever chuck it away.
No
There's
way.
always, just keep that information, because one day in the future you might think, God, I can look at this. I can find some use for it. And that's basically what the Christmas period allowed me to do a couple of years ago. I was thinking to myself, I've got all this information. Why don't I just put it into tactical arbitrage and just scan it all? Why don't I do a reverse scan? Why don't I get the team to look over it? Look at your sale, like the things that the products that you've actually sold, and look at those and see where you bought them from. When did you buy them? Are they available again? And there's so many things, so many systems that you can create from the information that you gather every day in your business.
Yeah, it's a massive tip. That I've definitely found products that I found in online arbitrage that have come back again more than once, more than twice, more than 3 times. Sometimes not always at the best price, but they're still coming back at a price where they can make a profit. And I've repeat posted several times. So yeah, you are definitely leaving money on the table if you don't go back over your old deals, recheck them, rescan them, or hire someone to do it for you. But yeah, a lot of value in that, and a great tip for something to get on with in January. A fantastic tip. Make sure you do that, and you'll definitely reap the rewards. Simon, carry on, Kev.
Sorry. I just wanted to add there, because these little things like that, I mean, they're big things. They're significant systems that you can create. But these are really the difference between, in my experience, from now speaking and working with a number of people from the last sort of 2 years, is that's really what I see is the difference between somebody that does this for Q4 or part-time to somebody that's able to do this at a business scale, like making sales, sourcing all the time. Your replenishing is incredibly important. Like the data that you collect is incredibly important. So, if you and I think everybody here is got real ambition, otherwise you wouldn't be here, to make this into a business, quit your job, maybe get into a warehouse, prep service, whatever your ambition really is. Look at everything, use everything that to your disposal. And I'm always thinking, and I'm always asking my team as well, like, what what aren't we doing now that we should be doing? So, and this is where Amazon come in as well, because you can just spend some time looking around Amazon Seller Central to see what new reports they're giving you, what new things, that information that they're giving you. There's so many things that Amazon give you, and you think to yourself, wow, this report, if I use this report for this application, this could actually get me some replenishables here, or get me a better understanding on what units I should be purchasing there. Or, these are the things that it takes time. Not everything comes at once, but this is where the reflection comes in. And that's why I absolutely love Christmas time, to actually have some time off and just sort of sit back, enjoy with the friends and family, but also reflect on the business.
Absolutely. No, some great advice in there for sure. Stuart just asked, just briefly, why do I have a week at the start of the month on Amazon where we sell nothing and then sales start again? Any answers? Well, this often comes down to just general sales velocity. That you'll find when a lot of people ask me when they first get started, they kind of worry about fluctuations, and quite often it's just down to the fact that how much stock you have in Amazon at any one time. As you start, you'll naturally only have maybe 100 items, 200 items, 300 items. The least items you have, the more your sales will fluctuate. It might be something as simple as the fact that maybe people sales will pick up towards the end of the month as people get paid, and then there might be a slight dip in the first week after people have already made their purchase decisions or something like that. But what you'll find is if you keep feeding the beast, so to speak, the more stock you have in, those fluctuations will slowly even out a little bit more, and you'll see less and less. But yes, when you get started, you could be doing 3, 4, 5 sales a day, and then suddenly you'll get nothing for a day. And you'll think, what happened there? It's like the sales went away. Just fluctuations. It happens. It's coincidental quite often. It's just everyone chose to make the purchases the day before or something. But as you say, volume goes up, fluctuations go down, and to the point where if you're shipping on a regular basis, those fluctuations will just go away. But you'll always see ups and downs. That is the way it is of internet buying and selling. It's not always easy to put a reason down to it. You'll have good days and bad days, or better days and slightly worse days. But ultimately, it really doesn't matter. As long as you're generally climbing, you're always putting profitable stock in and getting those sales. That's the main thing. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. Was what I would say. Anything you want to add to that, Stu? Kev?
No, I think you've pretty much hit the nail on the head. I think one of the first things that I challenge anybody when they're just starting out is can you ship every day, Monday through to Friday? Can you ship a shipment every single day? Because you're gonna have peaks and troughs. Like, that's just the reality of what happens. Some days you're gonna have an incredible day, and other days you might not have such an incredible day. But that baseline increases the more you ship. So if you only ship 1 box in the month, you're going to have, when that goes live, you might get a great little day. Then you might have you sort of dackers off, then you have nothing. But if you ship sort of every day, Monday through till Friday, you think every day you're shipping, and every day you're selling, and every day they are receiving. It's just a constant sort of you're selling stuff, you're replenishing stuff, you're shipping new stuff. I guess the metaphor or the image I try to share to people is, imagine sort of a pyramid of products. Some products may be on the edges. They may only, I'm just looking at the camera, make sure I've got it here. Some products may only sort of sell once or twice a month. Other ones in the middle, they may sell 100 times in a month. But you need all of them. You need them all. So, like, the day that you have an awesome day, it just so happens that you've had all the high selling products, as well as maybe 1 or 2 that only sell maybe once or twice in the month. You need them all. I think in the chat here, Simon said, did you see that Alibaba did over $30 billion worth of business yesterday? So that was like a big day for them. I'm sure that they probably don't do that every day. So that's just natural to have that sort of influx of some great days, some bad days. The best way, the best challenge, the best actionable way that I challenge anybody is to to that point is ship every day, and that obviously means then you've got to source every day, you've got to purchase every day. It's just a I guess it's just a knock-on effect to everything. But yeah, my question to you would be, do you ship every day, Stuart?
Yeah, sounds like a good it's a good plan to ship every day. It's a very good tip. And Jonathan says that needs a ding, so here it comes. That's for Jonathan. Right.
How many dings have we had? We need a counter.
It's quite a few. I think I've gone a bit crazy with the dings tonight. You're just coming out with some two good ones to
I'll reel it back a little bit.
Reel it back, yeah. Come on, space it out. Actually, John was just talking about his sourcing sheets. He's sort of added a little bit more content to when I was asking him a question about the bottleneck. What is the bottleneck? He says no real bottleneck. He gets 10 leads a day from his sourcing sheets, but some of them are incorrect listed, low ROI. So some of them don't fit his own criteria, which is fair enough. So yeah, you're not going to, out of 10 sales a day, 10 leads a day, you're not going to hit 10 purchases a day. It's fair enough. You've got to review them yourself and make a decision based on that. I would say, yeah, you're going to get X amount on that. There will be some days where you'll get maybe 7 or 8 of those that are absolute bangers and you'll hit them, and maybe others there'll be only a few. So that's the way it goes. You'll get some you'll get less. But yeah, there is not so much you can do about that. You take advantage of the good days when you get them. But in terms of FBA Wizard, then there are things you can do because you're making use of the sourcing sheets. But in the meantime, make sure those scans are going out every day, because I'm sure you haven't found all of the items from FBA Wizard that you are approved in every category. So make sure you've got all those scans. You know that you don't have to be there while they do it. They'll email you back once the scans are completed. Set them up overnight if you want. Just get a comprehensive amount of scans going and just try and get as much, if you've still got time, that means there are still opportunities that you can make. So you shouldn't really be running out of deals if you've got FBA Wizard. Really make it work for you, John, and get those scans in constantly and then get reviewing. If you run out of time, then there's your bottleneck. You've got to look at maybe getting some help in using FBA Wizard, for example. But I think there's always going to be deals out there. I think it's just how you attack the wizard. Certainly you may find a point where you're not getting enough on the sourcing sheets in terms of, you're not going to hit 10 every day. In fact, I should probably let Kev answer this because he's the man to do his sourcing sheets. But you'll make use of the sourcing sheets for the deals that are there. And in the rest of the time, if you've got all the deals in the sourcing sheets, great. Just hit that the FBA Wizard as well. Make sure you're doing as many scans as possible. Kev.
Yeah, there's a couple of things like with the sourcing sheets. I know with my own sourcing sheets that I provide, I'm always looking to improve our systems. That's just the reality of what I do. I'm always looking to improve the systems. The reality is if we try to provide absolutely all winners all the time as much as we possibly can. It's just subjective on it's very subjective on what the criteria are, what you would purchase, what other people purchase, etc., etc. Having said that, even when you've got your own virtual assistant who's working directly for you and not a part of a sourcing sheet or anything like this, working for you, you don't get every single day is a full house. It's the same as FBA Wizard, for example, or tactical arbitrage. You may do a scan and it doesn't find anything. There's a lot of things that go into place. It's very subjective. So all I would say from our side of things is that I'm always looking to improve. From your side of things, when you're trying to scale to that next level and you're trying to grow your business to that next level all the time, at the end of the day, we always accept feedback. I'm actually looking at how we can direct feedback directly to the team through a sort of but there's going to probably more coming on that in the new year. But so I mean that's what I would say. You at the end of the day, you've got to make it work by you. So if a sheet costs £100, at the end of the month, has it made you at least £100? That's the calculation ultimately where that's ultimately the is it profit or a loss? And at that point there, you can then decide. But I do that with my virtual assistants as well. You know, I do that with them as well. I'm like, these are the products that you found me, and these are the actual sales that I've had from the products that you found me. Are you now profitable or are you at a loss? And that's just the reality of business. I mean, that's just the way it works. So, you know, I guess, you know, I would say if bottleneck is not, if the bottleneck is not money, you gotta invest in your business as much as possible. You know, start FBA Wizard, get going with that. You know, see how you get with after a month. I think there might be even a free period that they offer. Do they, Andy?
They do. I think it's either 7 days or 14 days off the top of my head. I'll check it, but yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and you know, and I'm sure Andy might be able to get yourself a little bit of an additional bonus just for being a part of this community or something. But you know, get using it. Just see what it actually is in terms of numbers. Is it profitable for you or not? And that's really what I'll say there.
Yeah, no, I think John's already got FBA Wizard. I think he's been using it, but I think you just need to do more of it, John. I think you know, there's an awful lot of sites, an awful lot of scans you can be doing. It is time consuming, but you know, you're making an hourly rate by doing it. If you find that you've not got enough time, that's when I would to scale. That's when I would look at getting a virtual assistant at that stage. But you've got to be honest with yourself and look at how long you're spending. You know, if you spent a few hours a day utilizing FBA Wizard, I think you find an awful lot of opportunities by using that and by going comprehensively through all the different scan functions and scanning different sites, because deals are coming up on a daily basis. So you need to be comprehensive with that. So that's why they would say, go away and do that to begin with, and let us know how you're getting on.
And I might just add this as well, Andy, that you know, I don't know how much FBA Wizard is actually. How much is FBA Wizard?
I think it's 100 a month at the moment. So
100 a month.
Sourcing sheet. Yeah.
Okay, so 100 a month. If you employed a virtual assistant full time, and full time would be sort of 8 hours a day to be running scans as well as reviewing those scans for a full month from a place like India or the Philippines, $2, $3, $4 per hour. You're looking at maybe £400 in the month. So then you think, okay, so I'm going to invest in a full-time virtual assistant as well as FBA Wizard. That's £500 a month. That's a substantial expense. But remember, that's like 8 hours a day, Monday through till Friday for a full month. You know, I think, and this is one of the things that has definitely helped me grow my business, is I will take some money, especially after Q4 when you've got some money to play with, hopefully. Okay, I'm going to invest £500 into this, and let's see where I'm at in February. Has this had and you should have a significant increase. I mean, just the reality of that, you know, if you start having a virtual assistant working 8 hours a day, Monday through to Friday, scanning every day, you should get some good results from that straight away. You know, so
Sure.
that's what I would say. Over the Christmas period, start looking at what your status is in terms of the capital that you got available. Start pricing some things up. Like, do I go FBA Wizard and a virtual assistant? Do I go 3 more sourcing sheets? Because at the end of the day, 3 more sourcing sheets would be what, £300 additional expense, but that's an extra 30 items per day that you're going to be getting per day. Which means, what's that? That for the week, 150 items. That's sort of in the month an extra 600 items, and you've spent £300. You know, and then, you know, out of those 600 items, how many of them are winners? These are the sort of the calculations and the thing. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some. I can't tell you how many times that I've invested in. Okay, we're going to do this, and I'm going to invest in a virtual assistant. I'm increasing your hours. So I'll give you a great example. Be like, right, we're going to do some overtime over the next 3 weeks, Saturday, Sunday. I'm going to pay you 8 hours Saturday and a Sunday. This is going to cost me an extra £300, but I want to test this. And sometimes I come back and I'm like, that didn't work at all. And I haven't wasted £300. I've just worked out that's not profitable for me. And the more you do that, and hopefully the more you learn and the more you get wins, because obviously you can't keep doing that, otherwise you're just going to run out of money. But you'll find with FBA Wizard, especially when you've got some really knowledgeable people in the community like Andy, who's been using it a long time, getting into it, really learning it, have a virtual assistant doing it as well, and you'll just do the maths at the end of the month to see what the actual results have been.
Yeah, I think it's just a calculation. Ultimately, it is just a calculation. How much am I investing to get what back? And currently FBA Wizard is £97 a month. It's free for 10 days. You get 10 days to try it out, where you can get your money back if you need to. But in 10 days, I think I recorded a video. If you search for FBA Wizard on YouTube, I think my videos are the first 2 or 3 up to, or have a look on Google. I think my videos come up as well as a review. And a wholesale help. But yeah, I think the first trial that I did with FBA Wizard, I brought back £300 on the first scan. I think I showed you what I found there. And yeah, it's, £97 in the grand scheme of things when you've got it for a whole month. And, you can have that running 24 hours a day if you want to. So it's an incredibly good investment. If you're interested, if you go to wholesale-help.com/FBA Wizard, then that's my link where you can sign up. It's an affiliate link, but if you're interested, I'd appreciate you use that link. It's a great piece of software.
And I just wanted to add again, because my mind's going for you now, Jonathan, and everybody, and my mind's going. You could in January, using this strategy, you could test FBA Wizard for 10 days. You could have a full-time virtual assistant for 10 days and pay absolutely nothing. And here's how you do it. FBA Wizard's free for 10 days already if you sign up for somebody new. Then one of the things that I did when I first hired my first operations manager, basically, Harry, the way I hired him was I shortlisted it into 3 people on Upwork. I put a post out on Upwork. I need a virtual assistant to work with me full-time. Put a load of criteria, what I wanted. 3 people looked really, really promising. I was like, great, these 3 people look great. Harry being one of them. Then my deciding question for them was, okay, I want to know how serious you are, because I'm looking for a long-term relationship. I'm not just talking a fixed price job. I'm talking, if you're in my team, I want to develop with you for the next 10, 20, 30 years. I'm looking long-term. So I said to all 3 of them, okay, for the next 2 weeks, I'm not going to pay you. You're going to do this for free. And then see what the response is. 2 of them said, no, I'm not doing that. My operations manager that I've got right now, who looks after my entire virtual operations right now, he was the only one that says, I'm doing that. I'll work for you for 2 weeks for free, and no charge, no nothing. And that showed me a hell of a lot of commitment from him. He worked 8 hours plus per day because he was just really wanting to make a good impression. And guess what? 2 weeks later, if it don't work out, you just cancel FBA Wizard. You don't hire the assistant, and you've not spent anything. And you could do this, if you think about it, you could do this every single month until you find the right assistant that works for you. So it's just about being resourceful. It's just about being really thoughtful of how can I do and make something work with the situation that I find myself in.
Wow. That is an awesome, that's over golden nugget territory. That is. The golden nugget meter's just gone off the charts. I just realized someone just left just before you said that. Someone just left. That is, they've totally missed out on the whole entire session. I mean, that was absolutely awesome. What a golden nugget. That is on its own worth tuning in this evening. You can hire a virtual assistant, join up for FBA Academy, and trial the whole thing and not pay a penny. Genius. It is. I mean, just think, like, for me, it's a great way of, one, vetting your virtual assistants to see how committed they are. Some people are going to genuinely say no. Like, some people are going to be like, maybe like, I need my money. I need money now for whatever reason. But
in my mind, I was like, you know what? I want a long-term commit. I want a long-term relationship with who I'm working with, and I made this perfectly clear. I'm not here to scam anybody. Absolutely not. And since then, I've promoted him. I've given him more pay rises. I've given him extra work. I've given him bonuses. I've given him so many things. He's well looked after, and that's just from, you know, you just make yourself clear. Look, how serious are you? I'm looking for somebody over the next 10 years. Are you willing to work for 2 weeks for nothing? Because for them, they're just wanting a job. Like, they don't have a job right now. Then nothing to lose. All they've got is everything to gain. You can test without any type of expense. You know, you could pay somebody £400 and lose it all because they're no good. But for me, now we need to be more resourceful. Like what we're trying to do, build our own businesses. You got to do whatever you can. Think outside the box all the time.
Absolutely fantastic idea, and it's not about getting something for nothing. It's about testing the virtual assistant, making sure they're up to the job. So you know that idea. If someone has the presence of mind and understands that as a great deal, which they should do, and which your senior VA recognized and said, no, I'm up for that. I definitely think it's a good idea. You could tell it was worth the investment. And he has been for you. It's paid off for him 10 times, 100 times over. And it's paid off for you because he's seen that it's worth investing his time. He has the time, he wanted the job, and he went that bit further and got the job, and it's worked out for both of you. So it's a fantastic idea. And I also like, I don't know whether it was you, Kev, or someone else, I heard when you're actually writing a virtual assistant brief, put somewhere halfway through the brief to actual title the reply a certain specific thing in the title or in the first line of the reply, just to make sure they've properly read the brief as well. Because I think a lot of people send you a template reply and things like that. But if you give them a direct instruction in the brief to reply with something in the title specifically, then you know who's properly read the brief, which is a great way of.
I've got a video which I'll put in the show notes where I can't remember what the title is, but it says something like how to recruit a virtual assistant for your business or something. But basically, what what you're alluding to there, Andy, is what I started to do is I recognized on there's so many virtual assistants trying to get jobs. They've probably applied for 100 different positions that day, and they just copy paste. So what I started to do was I was like, okay, I want to know how much these people are reading it. So what I started to do is I create a real big, ugly paragraph of just all the information that they need, but it's not formatted. It's just an ugly paragraph. And in the center of it, I would put something that is that tells you that they've looked at what you're actually saying. So I'll give you an example. If I hire for the brand Life Success Engineer, I'll say something like, "Tell me how many YouTube subscribers I have right now," and it's just a small little line that says something. It actually says, "Start your cover letter by telling me how many YouTube subscribers I have." And then when you get applications, because you'll get a bucket load, you'll get a list as big as your arm, 50 applications, and you'll see. Some of them will not even start, and then it's like, I'm not interested in what they've got to say at that point. It's just archive, decline, and then you'll see one that says you have 2,555 subscribers, and it's like, right, he's paid attention. He didn't. This woman paid attention, and they're the people that you want to talk to. They're the people that like attention to detail. So. Definitely. Always think like this, because it's all about time. It's all about your time. Like, you could waste all day just reviewing 50 applications where, 48 of them are just complete garbage. Well, the 2 that started their cover letter with the number of subscribers, you just got to be creative. Like, you could say something like, you could mention, I don't know what your Amazon store name is, or I don't know what you just think about it. Something specifically to you that only you know, and they need to do some investigation. So I won't send them a link to my YouTube channel or anything. I'll literally just say, at the start of it, I'll say, I'm the founder of Life Success Engineer. We have a YouTube channel, a blog, and podcast, and all the rest of it. And then it's their intuitiveness that goes, okay, Life Success Engineer, let's search that on YouTube. Okay, he's got that many subscribers. Do you know what I mean? It's just about vetting the poor applicants.
No, it's a great idea, but as you say, you could easily lose an awful lot of time with the wrong people. So it's a fantastic way of sorting the wheat from the chaff, should we say? So yeah, excellent. I'm running out of the bell's broken with the amount of golden nuggets we've had this evening.
I think this is our best yet.
I think so. Fantastic. In fact, we're already over time, and we haven't even got through all the questions that we planned for this session. So yeah,
let's get to this question. But that's what I love about this reseller show. I absolutely love it because you go from one conversation to another. We all learn from each other, and that's what I absolutely love. But the second question comes from Lee. Great question here, Lee, and he's basically referring to Amazon disbursements. So over the last 2 years, I'm not entirely sure when the date started, but basically over the last 2 years or so, Amazon have started to hold back disbursements for new seller accounts. And he goes on to basically say how can he overcome this in terms of restriction of cash flow, building his business. It doesn't help anybody if you have, if you got money sat in your Seller Central account and Amazon ain't giving you it. That's going to cause you some problems. So have you got any thoughts on this, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, it's a relatively modern phenomenon. It wasn't something that I had when I started. I don't think it was an issue for you, Kev, as well. I'm not entirely sure why they're doing this. I think, in my opinion, it might be, there could be some fraudulent sellers that open up an account with some false details and just try and list as many things as they can and try and get your money and then get out of there, take your money and run, so to speak. It might be a way of just vetting your progress, or it might be someone that you just can't handle the sales and don't actually fulfill the items correctly or something like that, or they're basically protecting the customer experience because you're new. You're an unproven quantity at this point. So they want to see your progress. They want to see how you get on. If you show that you can operate your account correctly and the customer is not affected, because with Amazon, the customer experience is absolutely key. They protect the customer experience. That's their brand, is that the customer experience is held highest above everything else. So when you start, they don't know you. They need to get to know you. And as a precaution, they just hold on to your payment for a little while and to make sure all the customers are happy, make sure you're not a fraudulent seller or anything else like that. Everything's fine. They're going to relinquish it. So it might be a little bit frustrating if you're a new seller. It might take that bit longer to get your money out. It is something that can happen. It happens on eBay as well. I think it's just a case of just earning your stripes, really, and putting up with it. If you can add in an extra bit of cash flow to help you out over this period of time, then so be it. But I don't know. I don't think there's a way around making it happen quicker or anything else like this. It's just a case of, serving your time and showing Amazon that you're a good seller. And once they know you can be trusted, then they'll remove these limits and you're cracking along, really. But I guess it's a stepping stone you have to take to prove yourself as a good seller. I don't know if you've got anything else to add, Kev, other than patience.
Yeah, as you was just talking then, I was just scrolling through on Seller Central. I'm just scrolling through the seller forums and stuff just to see if there's any type of indication on if there's any type of limitation or is the time period. I don't have enough information really in terms of what I would say to anybody is if this is clearly an issue because cash flow is so important. What I would tend to say, I would probably email Amazon or put a case into Amazon and word it in a way that is directed at their customers. Say something like, I would just like to know the official positioning of Amazon in terms of disbursements over the last 6 to 12 months or however long you've been selling. We've had and look and just go through your account health section, all the things that Amazon give you. Just say we've had no defect ship orders. We've not had you maybe 100% seller feedback. You've got the customer response time of your customer messages. You're at whatever your average is, 4 hours, 3 hours, whatever it is. Just list all these things that are merits towards you in looking after Amazon's customer, and then say something like, look, I've been doing this for maybe 6 months. We take Amazon's relationship very serious. We want to be the best for Amazon's customers. We just want to know what does it take to have this disbursement lifted, this disbursement restriction lifted on us? Because I mean, for me, fortunately for me, I don't have that issue. I never had it. They've introduced it after I got started. But there's got to be ways around it. One is obviously what Andy just said in terms of seeking finances elsewhere, being resourceful in that way. But the reality is like that it's just no good if you've got £1,500 sat there in your account and you can only get 750 of that until the following week, where they then give you another 750, and you are struggling with cash flow. That it's not really helping you. So the only thing I can think of is try being resourceful in terms of your the capital you got available, and two, get the word on Amazon. And I'd love for anybody, whoever does this and maybe watching this or listening this back later, if anybody does message Amazon and create a case and get some type of official response, because I can't see anything in the forums here, the seller forums, that is from the horse's mouth, really, from Amazon saying you need to have ticked this and ticked that and ticked that before we open the door for you. I'd love to know a bit more.
From what I've read, and it was a long time ago that I read it, I haven't found anything that actually said it takes X amount of time and you need to do X, Y, and Z. I don't think there was any tasks necessarily that they wanted you to do. Apart from that, they wanted to, they do it for new sellers for an amount of time until they see fit that it's okay. I don't know. There may be a set period of time, but I've not seen it. Paul said that he's always thought funds were held back to cover any returns, so you have funds available and not going to negative balance. That's also a good point, Paul. Yeah, that could be the case, that they're just holding on to your money. That way, if you remove your funds and then there's a return, they've just got a bit of your funds in terms of refunds. Because yes, if you remove your funds and then you do get a refund, then technically you go into a negative balance with Amazon. That can happen.
And I think that that is. I think there's probably a number of factors that go into it, like you just mentioned there, Paul. I think that's a great one. But I think there's got to come a time where if you ship, I don't know, thousands of orders through FBA, and they can see that your defect rate is zero, like your return rate is very low. Defect, there's literally, you're not having any problems. There's got to be something, and you might not get a great response the first time you ask, but just like anything, maybe word it slightly differently. You might get another person that comes. You every time you submit a case, it's not going to be the same person that reads it. Just go with it a couple of times. Just see what the response is, and because I just don't buy it that it's just solely on that. There's got to be a number of things, because the reality is, like, what are the chances of 100 orders being returned? You make 100 orders or 100 sales, and then all 100 are returned. I can't see it happening. I think there's something else here. Plus, Amazon, they have your stock. One of the things that we spoke about last week was in terms of the Amazon loans. They give people loans based on the stock that they've got there, which means if you've got hundreds of units for sale, and Amazon they know what the value of all that stock is. So they could just take it that way from you. But I don't know. We're just literally speculating, Lee. But thanks very much for bringing this up. I just love for anybody to drop in the chat, get into the Facebook group, the Reseller Facebook group, the Reseller Show Facebook group. get us updated on this, because I think the more information that we know about this, it might be somebody takes action on this, gets de-restricted or whatever this restriction is, and then everybody then knows what that is, and then people start to free themselves up. I'd just love to know, really.
Yeah. And also there may be a difference between merchant fulfilled and FBA as well, because obviously if you're a merchant seller, there is a lot more points metric points you've got to hit in terms of shipping on time, quality of packing, and everything else like that. If you're an FBA seller, that doesn't count. So yeah, it may be more of a grey area than we realize, depending on what's going on. Paul's just thrown up a few links that we can investigate and get back to on next week as well, to do with funds being reserved for 7 days after the latest estimated delivery date and things like this. But whether that's for FBA sellers, whether it's for merch sellers, we'll have to look into. But yeah, maybe a to be continued on that one, and we'll look further into it. Interesting.
Okay, so wow, this is a great show, by the way. Final question is from Matt A. We tried to get to every single question, guys, so keep sending in your questions and we will get there. Even if we have to wait keep recording this show until Tuesday morning. We're all nighters out, Andy.
We're still here.
So this was a question from Matt, and he was basically saying, what did he say? The Amazon listing suspension. Basically, he was Amazon. They did a suspension on one of his listings for a video game. Somebody complained that it's not as described. Amazon removed his selling privileges for that item, not his account, just the item. What's the best way of fixing this? He's been going back and forth via emails with invoices, etc., but they're being very vague and they're not accepting the application for reinstatement. So any thoughts on that, Andy?
Yeah, I posted that up in the group, and I think you had a pretty comprehensive answer for him in the group, which I think is probably the best way to answer it. But yeah, it's a tricky one, really, to be honest with you, because every time you contact Amazon, you're getting someone who's working in a call center potentially, and you don't always get consistent replies as much as we would like. You don't get the same answer from the same person at the same time. My first bit of advice for contacting Amazon is be persistent. If you don't like the answer they give you the first time, ask it again, maybe ask somebody else, maybe get on the phone. Be persistent, because just because they give you one answer doesn't mean that's the final answer. So that's what I would say to begin with, is be persistent. If it's important enough, pursue it and keep up with them and justify your reasons. Give them documentation, give them evidence, give them reasons. You can change their mind, and if you persist, you'll get through to maybe someone with a little bit more authority who will make the decision on their behalf, and things will change. So don't always accept the first answer as the rule, because sometimes it can be very gray area and it can vary a lot. So yeah, be persistent. What did you have on that one, Kev, to reply to Matt? I think it was quite a good answer you gave in the group.
Yeah, it's one of these things that you're going to, first and foremost, if you're going to, most likely in your selling career on Amazon, you're going to come across a time where Amazon, they do suspend a listing for you. They restrict it for whatever reason. So what I was basically saying was, when it comes to, if you believe that it is as described, so in this case, you've got a video game that somebody's complained and they're saying it's not as described, and you're like, yeah, but it is as described. Like Andy just said, I think that's first and foremost. You've got to be persistent. You've got to really think. Just don't take the first answer as gospel, unless it's the right answer, unless it's the thing that you want, obviously. But one of the things that we do in the business, one of the systems that I set up was, before I go into Amazon and say this is as described or things, I'm always looking to do a bit of an internal investigation first and foremost. I'll straight away, we'll look at the where we've purchased it from, compare that to the listing on Amazon, just to basically confirm, are we right in this or not? The last thing you want to be doing is is sort of arguing your case, and all along you've maybe been wrong. So that's the first and foremost. We'll do an internal investigation. We'll check it. Is it the same? If we believe it is the same, we will go one step further and let's say, I mean, if it's inactive at that point anyway, let's say, for example, you've got 10 in stock, or you've got more in stock, and obviously now it's a bigger problem because you've got more stock, you've got more value there. We'll actually withdraw one. We'll do a removal order of one just to see it physically, come to the warehouse and I can see it. Like, yes, it's absolutely the same. Then we'll create a support saying, can somebody at Amazon go to wherever it's stored in their fulfillment centers, go check the thing, it's the shelves, like go look at it. You can even look at like past any orders. Like let's say you've maybe ordered, maybe you've had 5 orders and only one of them is not as described, but all 4 of them are right, or all 4 of them have said that it's okay. You know, these are, you're just creating a case for yourself, really, on why this is the case. Having said that, sometimes you'll find that maybe you've made a mistake. Sometimes you'll find that, oh God, this is not actually as described, and you've maybe had a system error, which happens. Like, that's just, nobody has a perfect system. I can't tell you how many times that we've returned and we've gone, bloody hell, we've got multiple layers of protection in the business, from sourcing to reviewing to purchasing to shipping, and the girls at the warehouse shipping every day, and they're doing the final checks as they put it in the box and things. And if it gets through, and we've had a negative feedback, we've had in this scenario where there's a selling privileges has been removed for this item, it shouldn't have got that far. So there's many system improvements that you can employ at that point. But I think what I would say is just create as much of the case as possible. You know, if you can say that you've had 10 orders, 9 of them have been good. If you can say I've withdrawn 1 from stock, send a picture of that in saying, look, I've got it in my hand right here. It's exactly the same. Can somebody at Amazon go check it? Here's my invoices. Here's my documentation. And that's all you can really do. If Amazon are consistently sort of saying no, there's got to come a time where you're going to have to take a hit on it. I mean, I think that's just the reality of it. Like, I don't know at what point do you stop being persistent, Andy? I don't know. You know, I don't know. It's one of those things. There's many things. Like if let's say there's only 1 in stock and you've, I don't know, you only had 1 for sale, maybe you don't waste your energy and you move on. There's millions of other products. I don't know. It's one of those things. I think it's all to do with, it's subjective again, because we don't have the full picture of what's going on at this point.
Exactly. I think that's exactly right. Your answer may depend on what the situation is. If you've got 10 of them and there's a lot of money invested and you want to get to the bottom of it, maybe you spend that extra time and go back to them and push them, because they can be pushed and you can change their mind. It is a big automated machine, Amazon, ultimately, and every time you contact them, you'll get someone else, and some person may be more receptive than other people, may have a different opinion. So it's definitely worth getting back to them and pushing. But if you're banging your head against a brick wall and they're saying no each time, then there may well become a point where you say, okay, well, I tried. I'm just going to take a hit on it or whatever. You know, ultimately, we're here to make business, to make money, and we're in business to make a profit. But sometimes you've got to say, okay, I'm going to take a hit on that one and move on. So that will happen from time to time. But yeah, as you say, it's nothing too much to worry about. We make mistakes when we list things. Sometimes you don't list it. It didn't pick it up and it was listed as the wrong item or something like that. Sometimes you've got to say, okay, my bad, I'll take the hit. And other times you can argue your corner. It is subjective depending on the situation. As you say, if it's just one item, it didn't cost you very much. Sometimes it might actually be better value just to say, okay, all right, move on and get on to the next one. So yeah.
But any system error, any issue in the business, always see that as a great opportunity to learn. And if you adopt that type of mentality and that culture within your operations, and it might just be you, but if you have that own culture of yourself And then when you do bring somebody else on, and maybe you've now got a team of 5, 10, 20, 30 people, whatever, however big your business comes, if you try to adapt this culture of, we're trying to resolve a problem at the root cause, nobody's at fault. Like, yes, there's been a system error. Yes, somebody may have made a mistake. But what you want to do is you want to promote the idea of, if someone's made a mistake, come forward with that mistake, because everybody can learn from it. Your system can improve. You don't want to go to a virtual assistant and say, do you know what I mean? You don't want to go over the top, because all that's going to happen is they're going to go in the shell. They're not going to report anything to you. No. You want somebody to come up to you and say, I've made a mistake here. And that's what happens. Like, I can't tell you how many times that we've made mistakes. Every single one of us. I can't tell you how many times I've made mistakes.
Of course.
But if you have this culture in your operations of like, let's get to the root problem, let's everybody get round the table, let's all talk about it, or in a conversation or whatever. Oh God, that should have been spotted, and you missed this. It's a learning thing, and that's how your team matures. And over months upon months, years upon years, that experience of your team, the maturity of your team, it's so vital, because these people that you recruit in your business, and you start to bring them up into spotting these things and investigating these things, these are really going to come into their own when you're maybe spending a 2 weeks holiday with your loved ones, and you've got a team mature enough to do an investigation, correct the system error, and resolve it without you. That's when you truly are reaping the rewards of these issues.
Absolutely. Then you've got a tightly running machine, that's for sure. That would be amazing. Yeah, no, I definitely would agree. If you've got the ethos of encouraging people to come forward and making sure you're not criticizing too much, and embracing the opportunity to learn is an absolute. That's the environment you want to create for sure. It's always going to benefit the team, and it's going to benefit everyone. So, great idea, Kevin. Great opportunity to turn that small loss into an investment in your team's learning, and what a great way to learn. So, yeah, for sure.
Well, what a great show, Andy.
Wow, my mind's been blown, Kev. I mean, we're probably blowing our own trumpets here, but what a great session. We've really enjoyed it. I think we've brought out a lot of really interesting topics, other things we can sort of add to as we go along in other weeks, some really interesting ideas, but some fantastic golden nuggets in there. And I just off the top of my head, we've been talking a lot about FBA Wizard. Maybe we'll do something in the future. If other people want to jump on board and learn FBA Wizard, if people want to sign up, maybe if we get enough people interested, sign up at the same time, I'll do some FBA Wizard tutorials or something and run through a few sort of starter tutorials for getting into some profit on FBA Wizard. So yeah, well, things to think about in future anyway. Lots of things to develop as we go through this journey that we're all on together.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add as well that I think we said it from day one when me and Andy wanted to create this show. This is our show. Any question, complex, simple. No question is a daft question. No question is a silly question. Anything that you want to talk about, not just Amazon, eBay, Facebook, Shopify, whatever. We'll talk about anything, because this is I look forward to. This is brightened up every single Monday for me. I mean, I love Mondays anyway, but every Monday it's fantastic to get together with Andy and you guys in the chat. Thank you so much for Paul, Jonathan, and there were so many of you guys interacting tonight. It was fantastic. Stuart, thank you so much. Simon, Marwan, it's fantastic. And this is, and for anybody that's listening to this back or watching this back, if you want to jump on live, you can do it anytime. Just go to resellershow.com/live. You'll just get an invitation to come into this chat with us, and we'll just continue to build week on week and get the conversation going. And the one thing that I'm really, really excited about is as the year passes and as we go into Q1, we're going to get into different conversations. We're going to get into different seasons of the year. And yeah, thanks very much for Jonathan just there saying, love this show, use it as a part of his continued professional development. So fantastic. That's a great compliment. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. And Paul's saying, great show. Is it possible to get a link to watch it again? Yep. Well, it goes on YouTube. This whole recording will be live on YouTube in about 24 hours time. About this time tomorrow, it'll be on YouTube. Obviously, it is a podcast, so you'll be able to listen back to it on iTunes, if you're on iTunes, on Spotify, and on Stitcher are the main platforms, or you can go to resellershow.com/podcast and you can actually listen to it on your computer. So many ways to listen to it again. Paul, thanks for asking that question. Yeah, it's if you're doing something like processing stock or doing something, it'd be great to have us on in the background, because there's a lot to absorb, I understand, and yeah, so the podcast and the YouTube show is a great way to listen to it back whilst you're in the car, or you're taking the dog for a walk, or you're at the gym or something. It's you can kill two birds with one stone. Then that's also a good way of consuming the content.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and it's a virtual mastermind. That's what it is. Exactly. We're just getting together on a Monday evening, whenever you're listening to this back or watching this back, and we're just talking all things reselling. And yeah, if you want to join us as well, there's a Facebook community as well, which is up and running. So you feel free to join us there. I'm not entirely sure what the link is, but we're gonna have working on the show notes. We're working on bringing all you the links and everything. You're gonna see it around.
Just search for Reseller Show. Just search for Reseller Show on Facebook, and you'll find the group, and just add request an invitation. We'll add you, no problem at all. So yeah.
So any final words, Andy? Anything else?
I think that pretty much wraps it up for this evening. Yeah, it's just been such a huge show. What I will also try and do as we go along, I've made a few notes of some key points in this episode. Maybe I'll try and chop up and get some highlights on YouTube as well. So if you can be sure to search for Reseller Show on YouTube and subscribe and hit that bell notification icon. So I may put out some highlights of the different shows as well, just to reduce them down into the golden nugget format. Just to really get into the key.
Paul says plenty of nugget bells.
I love it. I'm going to get so much use out of this. Hopefully it doesn't break. I'm giving it quite some abuse at the moment, but I'm enjoying it.
I'm gonna have a surprise next week for you guys that join in live. I'm gonna have a surprise.
That'll be interesting.
All right, guys. Well, thanks very much for tuning in. I really, really appreciate it. Thanks again, Andy. As always, it's a pleasure.
Take it easy, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care.
See ya.
See ya.
Welcome to the Reseller Show with your hosts, Andy Lawrence and Kevin Blackburn.